Hello, welcome to Revelator Alf. It's a radio podcast thing coming to you live from the UK. It is, whatever time it is, it's nearly 6 p.m. here, so I thought it's a decent time just to come on. Yeah, the early evening show, let's call it this one. Hey, got a couple of stories to go through. Going to be talking about the Indian motorcycles, the Indian Elite range. We've got the Pursuit we already knew about. Now they just re-released the Chieftain Elite as well. We're going to dig into that. Going to dig into a couple of other stories as well. But the main topic of today is really, for many, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, Easter. If you just had Easter and you celebrated it, happy Easter to you, of course. But after Easter is when many people get their bikes out of winter storage, let's say, and then start riding again because the weather usually improves and you're able to go and enjoy it. But there's lots of advice out there. Lots of advice as to what you should do, how you should prepare your bike, how you should prepare yourself, and all that sort of stuff. Hey, I've made those kinds of videos in the past as well. But I just want to ask you guys, what is the best advice out there? Or what is some of the worst advice that you've seen out there as well? Let us know in the comments or in the chat as well. I've got the chat going. Let me just bring that up there for you so you can see all those coming in there as well. I've just did a test of it and it's all working well. You can follow. Let me just make sure that's there. There we go. So that's all coming through there. You can follow me through on all the social media, all those as well. And also on the website, revelatoralf.com. There's lots of blog posts there, lots of information there. That's all shared on the social media as well. You can help support the channel just by subscribing, just by sharing the videos or the live shows as well. Or if you want to listen to them as a podcast, you can do that. You can support by PayPal, or you can do the Patreon thing as well. So thanks to those who are signing up to Patreon as well. All that other content that's going on there as well. And there will be more going on there in the future. But as I say, the chat is open. It's ready to have your say. Whatever you want to say on the subject, just have your say about Indian motorcycles, about any of the stories which I'm going to feature. Not a great deal of stories, but I do want to focus on this kind of, this getting back into the rising season, and I've kind of never really had that affinity with a riding season, because I ride all year round, and actually the weather is usually pretty rubbish all year round here in the UK anyway. So I've never stored a bike for winter. I may have not ridden a bike as much in the winter as I do in the summer, let's say, especially if I've got multiple bikes. That's for sure, but I'd always be riding pretty much. But anyway, listen, we're going to dig into that and all that kind of stuff. But whatever you're up to, let us know, and we'll let us know where you are, what you're up to, well, what you're riding, what you do, what did you do this Easter weekend. I'll let you know exactly what I did in a minute. But first of all, let's have a bit of this. Okay. So, first of all, I just want to say, hey, happy Easter to everybody, if you celebrated that, of course. And if you don't, then I hope you've had a nice weekend, whatever you've been doing. So, thank you. This is probably one of the first weekends, Easter weekends, I've had off in a while, as I seem to recall. I'm sure I have had them, but I always seem to think I'm working, but I'm sure that's not always the case. Anyway, I missed out on an Easter egg run on the Friday, Good Friday Easter egg run, which I normally do. I normally do make those, and I was working for that. But I had Saturday and Sunday off, and the weather was glorious up until Sunday afternoon, and then it just turned, and now that it's peeing down with rain again. But that gave me the opportunity to get a few chores done around the house. Yes, the good lady of the house gave me my orders, and I dutifully obeyed. So One of the things that I did go, went and bought a big tool, and there you go, Cat Weasel. I can see you in the chat there as well. Yeah, if you saw my short, yeah, I got a zombie killing tool. It's a big pickaxe. Did you know there are different types of pickaxes? Anyways, I won't go into that, but anyway, I've been meaning to get a pickaxe for a long, long time, and only us bikers know how to wield a pickaxe. Well, possibly that's not true, but there we go. Yeah, so I managed to dig up the front garden, and I was wielding with the pickaxe with great intent, and it made very light work of the front garden, which was really compacted dirt. So hey, great tool. And if you go to my short, you'll see exactly what it is that I've got, and I got it from. You can pick these up from Amazonia. I've left a link in there as well, or you can just go to your local hardware store and get them. But if you ever dig in ground, get yourself a pickaxe. Believe me. Veteran biker. Oh, here we go. Indian is failing miserably. Ooh, let's see. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about that. But let's just get into the news items first of all, and see what we're at, because I am going to be talking about that, but then I'm going to be talking about the big thing after that. Anyway, right. So first of all, I wanted to bring up the story from BMW Motorcycles. Now, it's not really about BMW motorcycles. Well, I suppose it is, or a particular model, right? Actually, what they've done, they've developed this new system, the BMW, and what they're going to try and introduce it is that you won't be able to start the motorcycle, you won't be able to ride off with it unless it recognizes your face. It's going to have some facial recognition software on it, just like you've got on your iPhone or your phone or whatever that unlocks your phone, or on your computer or something like that. It's going to have facial recognition software, and it's basically going to be logged into the whole security system of the bike, so you can't use it unless it recognizes who you are. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future if there's more biometric stuff that goes into bikes or even cars as well. You know, not only facial recognition, but it would look at like your weight. It would look at anything really, fingerprints. In addition, it will just build up lots and lots of layers, but also facial recognition as well. And it's called iFace. So there's a couple of there's a couple of stories here from different publications here which you can see. But BMW introduces biometrics to its motorcycles for unlocking security, and this is from biometricupdate.com, would you believe? And the other story was from, who's this, hotcars.com. So they both run the story. I wouldn't be surprised if within the coming days you'll see lots of this as well, and I'll put it on my website as well for you to have a look. There we go. Veteran biker just in the chat there. Zero innovation, just carbon copies of HD. Ooh, contentious issue. Many would agree with you, I'm sure. Many would disagree, I'm sure. Many would say that they've taken what Harley Davidson have done and they've improved upon it. Who knows? But anyway, we're talking BMW right now. But basically, they've got this iFace system, iFace scan configuration, so you can set it up for open visor, tinted visor, clear visor, and it scans the eyes basically. So it's pretty ingenious stuff, really. This is interesting. BMW iFace offers facial authentication of the I hate it when they say driver, it should be rider, as well as an additional biometric iris scan. The technology is integrated into the screen of the motorcycle cockpit, the TFT display, and performs a 3D scan of the face with fringe projection. The 3D scan is illuminated with infrared light, allowing facial recognition in the dark as well. Okay, that's cool, because that was going to be one of my next questions. Well, what about in the dark? Can you see it? The iris scan allows for extra security and identification of the driver, even while wearing a helmet. This system uses a special polarization filter that enables it to see through visors glasses and contact lenses. How clever is this? In the event of theft, BMW iFace will scan the thief's face or eyes and report the incident to the police along with the vehicle's geographic position. Well, there you go. If you really want to go and steal a BMW motorcycle, I suppose the advice would be go and do it now, because coming soon in the future you're not going to be able to do it, and if you try and do it, they're going to take pictures of your eyes and pictures of your face and send it straight to the police, and that you're going to get nicked, aren't you? And it just goes on and on. But look, this is interesting. I mean, look, the automotive biometrics market is forecast to reach 1.13 billion by 2025, according to market research Future. As I say, this level of technology that are going to be putting in all sorts of vehicles, not only motorcycles, you can understand why it's big business, because obviously, there's a lot that can be added to that, and it's for security as well. So look, does it stop somebody trying to steal your bike? No, of course not. But what it does, it gives an early alert to the police, supposedly, if they're even paying attention. But it tracks them. I would much rather, and I'm sure this is going to be the case, but I would much rather that when it scans your face and it's not the owner of the bike, right, then it won't even start. The bike wouldn't even start. You cannot physically start that bike unless it's scanned your face and it's allowed you to carry on. The only difference would be that it will enable you to. You can put another rider on it, but the owner has to put a secret pin in to override the system. So that would allow, let's say, for mechanics or whatever, or whoever, to be able to get onto the bike as well and do their stuff. But look, hey, it sounds interesting, right? Sounds interesting. But there we go. So that's the future of BMW. I do like BMW. They do come up with innovative things as well. Here's another story here from this is from Visor Down. This is about Yamaha. Yamaha motorcycles company are making interesting developments for the last 2 or 3 months as well, and I'll sort of feature them on live shows as well. But here's where they're talking about. They announced that and I got a press release as well, but I'm just showing you this from Visor Down if you want to go and read it. Yamaha has announced the completed development of a new recycled polypropylene material, which it will begin using in motorcycle manufacture this year. Yamaha's announced its adoption of a new recycled polypropylene in its manufacturing process for its powered two-wheelers. The adoption of the new recycled polypropylene (PP) for Yamaha comes at the conclusion of the Iwata Marks development process of the material, which Yamaha describes as successful in a press release. And yeah, I got the same press release. Whilst recycled PP is not entirely new to Yamaha, the new material it has developed offers even higher levels of strength and quality. So I suppose the reason why I wanted to bring this story to you was it's not so much that Yamaha, they're using this as well. It's more about this recurring theme, which I like to show and discuss, or kind of highlight it in the live shows, is that many motorcycle manufacturers, or even, as I say, even accessory manufacturers and suppliers, are starting to use green materials, recycled materials, in products now, and they're sort of diversifying, and they're moving away in many ways from traditional manufacturing or traditional resources, and I wouldn't be surprised in the coming years the big push for this to find alternatives to materials that they've traditionally used in motorcycles, let's say, or in cars or whatever it is, because of supply chain issues, and also because of green issues and things like that. So if they can use recycled materials that may be in abundance, for example, then all of a sudden, your quid's in. Okay. So that's a couple of look. There are lots of stories out there, and I don't really want to sort of go into this. It's kind of, there are lots of stories out there in the motorcycle world, but they're all minor stories. Yeah, nothing from Harley Davidson really. I talked about the 400cc, 440cc coming out of India sometime soon. That was in the last show. So there's no kind of new updates on that. Harley Davidson themselves, their company news, their stock price is going up, goes down, goes up, goes down. Standard stuff there, no issues. Honda again, very quiet. Kawasaki, they're doing a big push to promote their brand all over the Northern Hemisphere. And they've got lots of different things. If you're a Kawasaki fan, go check them out for lots of promotions, lots of road shows and test ride features. Again, it really depends where you are, which country you're in. But there's lots of promotions. Quite a few of the publications are carrying that as well. Kawasaki Eliminator 400 announced for some Asian markets. I discussed that a few weeks ago as well. But again, if you're a Kawasaki fan, which I am as well, go check them out as well. Triumph, not a great deal. I'm just reading the news feeds here, by the way, just trying to make sure that I haven't missed anything for you guys whilst I've come on air. Yeah, so... yeah, I mean, in different markets, you got 4,000 saving on the Triumph Tiger 1200 range. That's from MCN News. I think that's Australia, is that? Let me just quickly check this. Yeah, from Australia, that's $4,000. Good deals. Again, it depends where you're on the world. You can have different deals according to what promotion they're going to have in a particular market space. As I say, so. The big news here, really, I suppose, is Indian. Let me just bring on there here. Now, this is not the Indian media site. I've got a press release here as well. This is the media site here as well. But I'll just go with the. This is the PR Newswires. This is where it first alerted me to it. And it's got Indian motorcycle delivers sophisticated style and best in class. Well, it's debatable, isn't it? I mean, according to a veteran biker here, I'm sure he would agree with that or disagree, and I'm sure lots of people out there would disagree as well. But best-in-class V-twin touring performance with new Indian Pursuit Elite. Well, Colin knew about the Indian Pursuit Elite for a long time, actually. The Challenger, they had the Challenger Elite. The Challenger Elite they had. This is the Indian Pursuit. They had as well, and now they also got the Chieftain Elite as well. And it just goes on to here say, this is from Aaron Jackson. It's also on my website, revelatoralpha.com. The same story. Basically, it's just all been lifted from the press release as well. Let me just go straight to the press release, and you'll see it as well. Indian Motorcycle today introduced the Indian Pursuit to its limited edition elite class of motorcycles and announced the return of the ultra premium Chieftain Elite. Featuring premium componentry, each elite model is crafted as the ultimate in American V-twin style and exclusivity. Look, the problem, not the problem, you kind of got to accept that this is all, puffing of the chest and from Indian motorcycles as well. Nothing wrong with that, because they're just trying to promote their brand, and I don't have an issue with that. But what I'm saying is some of the wording they use, some of the language that they'll use is kind of marketing spiel, right? And it is going to be, we're the best and all that sort of stuff, right? It may be the best. I don't know. I'm just saying to you. Aaron Jacks, Vice President of Indian Motorcycle, said, when we first introduced the 2018 Chieftain Elite, we wanted to create an offering that was not just limited in quantity, but exclusive in nature, with custom details straight from the factory. Today, with jewel-like finishes, our elite line of baggers and touring models truly represent the best of the best and deliver a statement like nothing else on the road. Wow, look at this. So you got the Indian Pursuit Elite, only 150 units available worldwide for 2023. Wow. They're basically saying it's best-in-class performance, center stage, 1768 liquid cooled power plus engine, 90 kilowatts of power, 178 newton meters of torque. Just keeps on going on. You know, the standard stuff. Smart lean technology using Bosch inertial measurement units to tune traction control, ABS. Oh, it just goes on and on. Pathfinder S LED driving lights, Pathfinder adaptive LED. It's got the ride command system, offers Apple CarPlay. You know, the ride command infotainment system, you know, it's just their version of infotainment, if you know what I mean. The Chieftain Elite is also... Let's have a look here. Okay, it's got the Thunderstrokes 116. Yeah, basically 171 newton meters of torque. Rear cylinder deactivation improves rider comfort when riding through slower traffic. Well, this is just EITMS from Harley Davidson as well, exactly. You know, I suppose, Jerry, good evening. How are you? Thank you for joining, and hope you all had a good Easter as well. Same for you, Veteran Bike, and I hope you had a good Easter as well. Has it a toilet fitted? Well, actually, that's not a bad shout, actually. I wonder if they could put something on the back there. Let me just show you some of the pictures here, because, you know, hey, why not? Let me do that. There we go. Can you see those? Yeah, I think you can see those just in shot there. And they, you know, it kind of looks all right. This is the Pursuit, by the way, this one. 1901. They do love putting 1901 on their images there as well. Yeah. Nice front there. There we go. I mean, I can't say the Elite or the Challenger Elite is for me. You know, it just. But you know, it's a nice looking bike. I'm not sure the whole tour pack thing was for me, to be quite honest with you. But I think the Chieftain definitely. Let me just put a Chieftain there. I think that's a much better option. Let me just come out of that and let me bring you the Chieftain. There we go. These are the Chieftain pictures. Yeah, they got a little lip on the screen as well, so it's going to keep the wind off you a little bit. All very nice. I do like this engine. I got to say, this profile of this. Again, I'm not sure this. We'll get into the prices in a minute, but it does look nice. I'm not sure if the Elite name is a good name though. I know what they're trying to do. They want an exclusive, but Elite can sound elitist, if you know what I mean. Now, for some people, they think that's okay. For other people, they kind of think, it's a double-edged sword, really. The word. I'm just talking about wordisms here. You know, it can be a good, as in great, it's really exclusive, or elite. It could be we're looking down our noses at those other ones. I like the rear of the Chieftain rather. Looks really nice. I really do like this bit here. I think the Chieftain would suit me better than the Challenger, actually, the Pursuit in this case. The front wheel. Oh no, different. No, it's a different wheel, different pattern on the front. Yeah, that looks nice. Looks nice. Yeah, Thunderstroke 116 engine. Yeah, so the Challenger, or the Pursuit has got the liquid cooled. Obviously, that's got the Thunderstroke 116 engine on it as well. Looks nice. Yeah, I kind of like it. I kind of like the Chieftain more than I like the Challenger. I'm not sure. I think when they first announced it last year, it was like in a matte blue and a matte black on the Indian Challenger Elite. That was, yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. That's all right. Jerry Power, named after a tank. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, Yeah, that's right. But is it a tank? That's the thing. That's the. I'll tell you what. Let me just. Now I haven't got any specs here. Let me just have a look here. Da, 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 da. Yeah, they haven't got. Weirdly enough, actually, on the specifications, they've given a very. Oh, sorry, 100. The Chieftain is only 175 units. I'll tell you what. Let's just go to. Let me just go to Indian. I wonder if it's on the website. I'm sure you probably. I'm sure you probably find Bagger, Chieftain, Dark Horse. No, they haven't got it, have they? That's probably because I'm looking at the UK market. Sorry, the UK market, and it probably hasn't got it. Let me just have a look here, see what it says. Touring. No. Bagger. Challenger. Well, that's weird because... Oh, no, sorry. The Elite. Oh, God. Oh, there we go. So the Challenger Elite here. I was right. It had the matte blue. Okay, come on. There we go. Yeah, so the... Okay, so they're calling this the Indian Pursuit Elite. Okay, very odd from Indian. So they've got the Challenger Elite, or they got the Pursuit. So the Challenger Elite is without the tour pack. Okay, then you got the Pursuit Elite, which is with the tour pack, which essentially is the Challenger, right? And then you got the Chieftain Elite. Okay, so let's have a look at the Challenger Elite first of all. Challenger Elite was the Indian Pursuit Elite is £38,000 and 495 pence. So it doesn't really tell me what. I don't think it's given me a price for the just for the Challenger. And no, that's weird. Okay. Right, sorry. Okay, I should just scroll down. Here we go. Right, so I'm just doing this on the hoof here. So for the Indian Pursuit Elite, here in the UK, it's £38,495. For the Indian Chieftain Elite, considerably less actually, is £29,095. Okay, I quite like that. The Indian Challenger Elite, essentially, the Pursuit without the tour pack, the Sapphire Blue Smoke is £35,795. So all this really is just styling, right? All this, there's nothing really groundbreaking about this bike. Yeah, all these bikes, it's just badging, and it's Indian's version of the 120th anniversary range, really, or any special edition bike that you want to come out of from Harley Davidson or any other manufacturer. So they're expensive bikes. I'm surprised, whilst it's nearly £30,000, of course, for the Chieftain Elite. I'm surprised that there is that difference there. I thought they would try to push it over 32,000 for that Chieftain. But then again, you're talking about a 116, air-cooled engine, basically, aren't you? As opposed to a liquid-cooled engine in the Pursuit or the Challenger Elite. Let us know what you think about that. I mean, I kind of. Let me just get back to it. I mean, I kind of like it, really. I like the colour of this blue, this matte blue from the Challenger Elite. I really like that. Let me just see if there's a better picture. Get rid of that. Here we go. This one here. Yeah, look at that. I think you're riding down the road with that bike. I mean, I like a black bike, right? So black is always going to be my colour. But the blacked out engine and the kind of the blue and black they always complement each other in terms of colours. I kind of like that. Yeah, I like that. Well done, Indian. Now let's just come back to the Chieftain here. I'm not so sure I like this colour combination. This black and matte black and bronze and whatever that colour is. What's that colour? It is graphite smoke over black smoke with bronze chrome. Yeah, I'm not so sure on the engine. I don't. Yeah, it's a bit too. It reminds me of a coin collection. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how, you know, it's almost like, oh, come into my study, let me show you my coin collection. Yeah, I have a 1952 and a 1912, you know, penny farthing. Here, not penny farthing, but you know what I mean. Oh, here's a sixpence, you know. Here's $1. It just kind of, I don't know why, it just kind of reminds me of a coin collection, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's the colours. The bike itself looks decent. So look at the on the Pursuit. On the Pursuit's, you know, if you like this big touring package, yeah. Strangely enough, on the Pursuit, the colours don't offend me as much as they do on the Chieftain. I don't know why, but I've never been even with the Harley Davidson where they did, like, you know, the black and gold combination on some of their bikes. Not really for me. I've got to say the black and gold isn't really, and also on other bikes, other manufacturers, when they've used black and gold colour combination. Can't say it's for me. Doesn't really do it. I think this big touring pack at the back, it just, again, if you're into that kind of thing, and I know lots of people, you know, husband and wives, they want to go on big tours and all that sort of stuff, you know, or, you know, people like that kind of thing, you know, you can put your helmets in. I'd be interested to see whether you'd be able to fit regular helmets in there as well. You know, yeah, okay. What I will say about the tour pack, and I know this about because my other half as well, my good lady, if she wants to sit on the back of my bike, and this is a common thing as well, you know, they like to have something behind them. It's that extra, whether it's that extra sense of, you know, if you suddenly have to lurch forward on the bike, you know, the seat is going to catch you, or you know, it'll be like a sissy bar or something like that. If there's nothing there, and then there's more chance of any passenger to feel a little bit more insecure. So I can see it. I can see why people like it. I'm just saying, from an aesthetics point of view, from a viewing point of view, not really, not for me, if you know what I mean. Not for me. But there we go. Jerry should take an elephant. What? The well, they're bigger. I wonder if an elephant would sit on the back seat, whether it would feel secure. With it forward, yeah, there we go. But listen, hey, that's for Indian motorcycles. I say the Chieftain's coming in a bit cheaper. Let us know where you are, you know, in the United States and all that sort of stuff. In other countries, I say there's 150 of the Pursuit going to be made available worldwide. There's 175 of the Chieftain. Donovan, hello, from Twitch. Hello, you on there. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining. Hope you're well, and thank you. Hope you had a nice Easter. But anyway, so this is the Indian Indian Challenger, Indian Pursuit, and the Indian Chieftain, all on the Elite range. It's basically a higher spec, you know, limited edition numbers. Hey, it's up to you whether you like this kind of stuff. You know, I just think you know, it was crying out for this kind of bike from Indian Motorcycle, I think. I just can't help feeling, if this was like from a company like Harley Davidson, less so from Triumph and less so from BMW, but certainly from a company like Ducati. But definitely, if we can compare like for like, which you can with Indian and Harley Davidson, I just feel that Harley Davidson would be charging you a lot more for this. Now, I could be completely wrong. I'm not talking about their base bikes here, like the Challenger versus the the road glide or the Chieftain versus the street glide. I'm not talking about that because they're kind of comparable. I'm talking about limited edition runs, that kind of thing. I just kind of feel that Harley Davidson would be, there. How about you, Donovan? Am I a sports fan? Massive sports fan, because I am as well. Yes, massive sports fan. What a great weekend of sport we just had. If you're into EFC, I can't even talk today. UFC, great UFC 287. Adesanya got a great knockout win. Masvidal fight was just brilliant. So if you're into that, great weekend of football. Some cracking games. My team came home with the spoils, whilst the performance was rather, disappointing. But hey, we take the points, we take the win. That's all that matters at this stage of the season when you've been struggling and not performing all season. So yeah, a big sports fan in general, motorcycle sports as well, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, listen, that's the kind of news element as well. That's the kind of news element which I really wanted to talk about. Okay, so the story, not the story, but the discussion topic for today then is getting into the riding season. Let's go. Okay, I do love those maracas coming through on that audio. Right, okay. Look, the new riding season is upon us. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this out on the live show today was this. I was watching a video the other day, and they're talking about, hey, getting your bike also. It was an American YouTube channel, right? It just came across on my news feed. I don't know why, because I'm not subscribed to them. But anyway, if you know YouTube, you know the way these things work. They kind of tend to show you similar kind of things that you might have seen. Anyway, so it's basically saying, hey, getting ready for the riding season, getting your bike ready, what you should do. And one of the things that caught my attention was this, because most of what this guy was saying, was okay. It was sound stuff. It was about checking over your bike and all that sort of stuff, and pressures and tires and engine. But what the interesting thing you said, and you said do a 3 oil change in the case of a Harley Davidson, change all the oils, right? And the interesting thing you said, even if you've only done 500 miles on that oil, change it up. And he kind of went on to say, well, just in my, this is what I tend to do and things like that. And I kind of thought, well, hold on a minute there, son. Hold on a minute. If I've only put 500 miles on a bike, even though I've had it in storage for the last 3 or 4 months, 5 months, that's still only 500 miles on that oil. Now, if you're going to do an annual oil change anyway, there's no reason that I can ever think of that you would want to get rid of that oil. Just keep it. Just keep it in there. Because it's only you're basically doing an oil change for no reason whatsoever. I thought that was just a bit silly, really, just a bit daft. Why would you ever want to change oil on a bike that has only run oil for 500 miles? If we're talking about a bike that you use for racing, like a racing bike, and you're going to be stripping everything, drop the oil and everything, because you got different tolerances, and you're going to have different, wear on that engine, and you're going to, that oil is going to be made to, work a lot harder and all this sort of stuff. So drop the oil, get rid of it, and, flush the engine out and start again. I get it. But if it's a brand new, not even a brand new bike, if it's just a bike that's been in the workshop, in your garage for the winter, 5-6 months, even 5-6 months, right? It doesn't matter. It could be there a year. It doesn't matter, right? Yes, over time, oil degrades, but I wouldn't rush to change your oil just because you want to get riding again. Just make sure that it's at the right level. Let your bike warm up. for that first time of starting up. And this is, okay, it gets on to the other thing, about, should you start your bike on a regular basis once you've stored it up? And there are two schools of thought in this, and I heavily fall on one school of thought. And so the two schools of thought, one is that you should start your bike up on a regular basis. I'm talking for only 4 or 5 months that you're not going to ride your bike, okay? I'm not talking about years that you're going to not ride. I'm talking about 4 or 5 months. So there's some schools of thought that every few weeks, go start it up. That's it. Let the engine get warm and everything like that, and then go on and so on and so forth. And then and then just shut it down and go on and so on and go and do your thing, as it were. The other school of thought is say, don't touch your bike, leave it alone. Okay, give it a good wash, whatever, clean, detail, whatever, before you put it into storage, and just leave it alone. Put it on a battery tender, or even just disconnect the battery, just leave it alone. I would fall on that side of it because of this. If you're going to start up your bike, right, first of all, you're probably going to do more damage to your battery by this regular, or no, not even regular, this irregular starting. And you're not going to be running your engine long enough for it to charge up the battery. So if you're starting the bike just to keep the battery topped up, you're not going to be doing that. You're actually going to be draining it down. The other thing as well, that you can have condensation build up in the engine, but also in the exhaust as well, where the engine doesn't get hot enough to burn off any sort of water vapor as well, and then it can accumulate as well. So the best thing to do is just leave it alone. It's not going to rust inside, whatever, for the next 4 months or whatever. But there we go. So I just thought, why would you want to change oil that is only 500 miles long? You've only used it 500 miles. So it's just very odd. Jerry, modern oils are tough and lasting. Yeah, look, this is an interesting thing. I'm a firm believer of this as well. As long as it's got oil in it, yeah, it's not going to hurt the bike just to run it up. So let's say you've got, I don't know, you've got a bike that has been stood for 10 years, let's say 10 years, right? So one of the things what I would do is this, okay? Obviously make sure everything's working as best you can. I would try, and if I was a bit unsure whether the bike was seized, I don't want to power it up straight away, I would take up one of the side casings and see if I could rotate the crank myself, just with a wrench. Just get on the end of the crank, and you can do that. You can rotate the crank and see moving the pistons as well. Take the spark plugs out, just reduce that compression and everything like that. Just see if you can get an endoscope, a borescope into the cylinders. Just have a look, what the cylinders look like before you even fire it up. Because you don't want to be starting up an engine that's been stood for a long, long time without giving it some kind of an inspection, and also without trying to turn over the engine manually. Then what I would do, I would just quickly fire the starter, if everything's okay. Press the starter button as well, without the spark plugs in there, without connected to the coils or the HD leads or whatever, and just to see if it rotates freely without compression, because obviously you've got the spark plugs out there. There's no compression there anymore because everything's just coming out of spark plugs, right? Spark plug holes. Then put the spark plugs in there without the HC leads and just turn it over. I'm not talking about keep on cranking it over. I'm just talking about, does it turn? Right. Then put the spark plugs in and see if it'll start up. But the most important thing is, does it have oil in there? It doesn't matter that it's 10 years old. Does it have oil in there? And all you're checking to see is if it will start up. Once you've got it started up, let it warm up, right? Let it warm up. And then you're going to heat up all that old oil, right? Heat it all up. Maybe use it for a few days. Just get it all nice and warm. Everything's lubricated, right? Then drop the oil. Then get rid of the oil, right? And put fresh oil in there. because you want to make sure that the oil that you're taking out that engine has to be nice and warm or hot, let's say, so it's not as viscous anymore, and everything that it's been coated, it's going to drain freely. You don't want to have old oil in there that's been sat for 10 years. That's almost like, it's just thick and everything because it's cold, and you're trying to drop it and you're never getting rid of it. You just want to warm it up a little bit. But anyway, listen, I mean, that's, there are lots of things which you could say about preparing your bike for the for the spring riding, the summer riding. And I think, look, the general thing would be, check over your bike, or get somebody else to check over it for you. There are lots of people out there who would say to you, if you don't work on your bike yourself, then you're not, in some way, you're not a bona fide biker, you're not a bona fide motorcyclist. I'm of the school of thought where you say, well, as long as you ride, first of all, it doesn't really make any difference. I think you might even have an idea about motorcycle mechanics, but most people won't even work on their own bikes anymore. Brand new bikes, this is. One, because of time. It might be a time issue, and that's certainly my case. I don't really have a lot of time anymore, and this is why my bike projects take so long, because I'm constantly doing other things like digging up my garden or whatever. But anyway, so that kind of thing. But also it could be a money issue as well. But also it could be a tooling issue as well. You don't have the expertise or the modern tools that you may need for your particular model of motorcycle. So that's why people sometimes say, well, I'll take it somewhere else. But when you're talking about not working on your bike open up engine casings and getting into the engine, changing pistons, that's one aspect. You're talking about motorcycle mechanic level, home motorcycle mechanic. But if you're talking about somebody who doesn't even do the basic maintenance of their bike, then I think you'll soon run into an issue. If you've never done anything on your bike, I'm talking about even checking tires, tire pressures, lubricating a chain if you need to, all that sort of stuff. Because if you're constantly having to pay somebody else to do it, then you'll probably find at some point that becomes really too expensive for the kind of bike that you've got. So that's why most people will learn how to do the basic mechanics or the basic maintenance, the basic servicing of their own motorcycle, which for the most part, actually, it isn't that bad. It isn't, that kind of stuff, that level of just, it doesn't matter what technology is on the bike. The fundamental thing of changing an oil filter, changing an air filter, changing oil, changing spark plugs on an internal combustion engine, that kind of thing, it's pretty much the same. You don't even need a manual for it. You pretty much know, okay, I've got what oil goes in there, okay, so I know, and how much. That's really important. How much goes in there? What oil is it? Right, I'll drop that. I'll change that oil. I'll change the spark plugs. What sort of spark plugs is it? Make sure the tires are in date. Let's say they're not too old. They've got good wear pattern, the good tire pressure. What about the suspension? No leaks, no knocking. Steering head. Making sure the steering head bearings, there's no juttering, there's no grinding as you're turning the handlebars, that kind of thing. All the lights are working, the battery, that's the kind of thing that you're going to be doing to make sure that your bike is ready for the riding season, as it were, that it's just fit to ride, put it that way. But I believe there's a difference between somebody who works on their bike just in maintenance, which I think most people eventually get moved towards, right? And those people who work on their bikes in mechanical terms to, open casings and strip down engines and stuff like that. Most people don't do that latter bit. Okay, especially with new bikes, they tend to send it to somebody else for various different reasons, whether they haven't got the tooling or the expertise, or they just think a motorcycle mechanic or a dealership is going to be able to do that. But, Jerry, fortunately, I ride 12 months a year. Yes, I do as well. And look, again, this riding all year round business, it really depends where you live as well, right? Because, if you've got nice weather for the most part, or, really hot weather, but your winters are never really that cold. Yes, it's no drama, right? But if you ride, let's say, in the UK or even north in Norway or Scandinavia or Canada or something like that, where it gets really cold and frozen and icy, whatever, in the winter and snow, obviously you're probably not going to ride in the winter, are you? You're probably going to go on another form of transport, like riding a reindeer or something, But anyway, so it's checking over your bike. That's all that matters. Or get somebody to check it over for you. I think that one of the best bits of advice that I would ever give to somebody who's getting ready for the riding season is, and I call it's a footballism, get yourself match fit. Get yourself match fit. And it's got nothing to do with the bike, but that's a given, right? That you have to make sure that your bike is in good condition, right? Or roadworthy condition. So check the tires, check the pressures. Is everything still legal? Is your insurance right? Is your whatever, other documents that you need on your bike? Okay, I said documents because it really depends which country you're in. So here in the UK, we need an MOT for a bike that's over 3 years old. You need road tax and everything. So if you've got all your documents, your riding documents, is it all good to go? Fine. Is the bike all fit to be ridden? Great. So the next thing you've got to make sure is, are you fit to ride? Are you fit to ride? Are you able to ride a bike? It depends. Everybody may have age issues, mobility issues, health issues, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of think, okay, well, I'm right. Well, maybe doing some exercises, get yourself ready. But once you've got onto the bike, you're going to take it out for the first time. The number one thing that I would say, is that very first ride, or the second ride, or the third ride, just go really, really slow. Just ease into the riding season. Just don't get your bike, your sports bike, or any bike, it doesn't have to be a sports bike, any bike out the garage and just put on your motorcycle gear, whether it's racing leathers or whatever bike, biker boots, whatever it is, your helmet, your gloves, whatever, your cool glasses, You've been clean shaven all winter, but then all of a sudden the riding season comes in, so you got to grow your stubble, grow your biker beard and all that sort of stuff, right? No, but what I'm saying is that very first ride, the very first few rides that you do, just take it easy. Go nice and easy. Nice. I'm not saying slow. I'm saying just take it. Be very conservative in your riding. And then gradually build on as you get used to it again. Used to being on two wheels. Used to how other riders and drivers and other road users, how they respond to you. Get used to being on a bike and trying to mix it with the road conditions, the road conditions in terms of weather, the road conditions in terms of, well, how good are they? Those first few rides, especially in spring, well, some of those days can be like winter as well, so just be aware of that. Jerry, spring is a precarious time for bikers. Both are dozy. Yeah, look, it's an interesting thing because those spring riders and, in the emergency services, they know that in the winter, it flatlines low level in terms of accidents, fatalities, that kind of. It drops to a low level, and because It's a numbers thing. There are hardly any bikes on the road, right? That's why flatlines. As soon as spring comes, you could almost set your watch to it. Sudden spike in motorcycle accidents. Without fail, every year. Sudden motor spike. And the big reason is everybody gets on their bike. So it is a numbers thing, right? The numbers of motorcycles on the road just comes up. So therefore, one, you're getting bikers getting on their bikes for the first time that haven't ridden in a while, so therefore they're rusty. The other thing is that the other road users are not used to seeing motorcycles on the road in recent months. All of a sudden, it's a new thing, right? The environment changes. So motorcycling environment is changing for bikers, but also for drivers as well. So that's why I'd always say just take your time. That first few rides, especially if you're going to do anything, especially if you're a fast rider, notoriously, you're typically a faster rider, get into it. Get into it slowly. But that's what I would say. Yeah, the spring riders are always the ones that, are going to be most at risk. So getting yourself into the riding habit and good habits, I'm not saying that you have to be, oh crikey, I'm definitely not saying that you have to be some kind of angel on two wheels, or the devil on two wheels, depending on which way you might be a devil worshipper, I don't know which way, But what I'm saying is, you don't have to be, Mr. Everything, or Miss, or him, or they, or him, they, she, whatever the pronoun is. I'm very woke these days, don't you know? You don't have to do everything by the book all the time. But what I'm saying to you is that whatever your riding style is, just be very conservative and then just ease yourself into it, because there's no rush here. There's no rush to do anything. There's no rush to get anywhere. And again, yes, Joe, you make a good point. Age too can be an issue. Absolutely right. I've made videos about this in the past. You've got to look at yourself. And you've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself. Always, especially on a motorcycle. Because you can't take that risk. You can't be blasé to the risk that the road poses to you, but also how you as a rider, how you're able to ride. Yeah. So it could be anything. Your age, what about your mobility? What about your hearing, your eyesight? All these kinds of things. You have to come up with little contingencies now. As you get older. And I tell you, one of the biggest contingencies for me as an older rider, I can't say I'm an older rider now, but yes, I am. I'm an older rider now. One of the things that I've certainly learned to monitor these days, and I don't want to be crude, I don't want to be crass, but here's the thing, right? So as an older rider now, I know that if I have a drink or anything, coffee, soft drink, even alcohol, and I have a bit too much of that drink, whatever it is, I'll be going to the toilet every 5 minutes. Just one of those things. I'll head on down the road, then all of a sudden, I'm dying and I've been caught short almost a few times. I remember on this endurance ride I did a few years ago now, and I just set off, and within about 10 miles I was just bursting for the loo. So I quickly had to pull over on the bike and just get all my gear off. And luckily at the time I didn't have the extra layer on, which I'd put on later on because it got really, really cold. But I was fumbling around with trying to get these layers out, just to get, just on the side of the road, just to have a little whittle. And that's the thing, so you have these contingencies where you actually say, right, I'm not going to drink as much, or I'll keep myself hydrated and all the good stuff, but I'm not going to drink loads and loads of stuff. I'm not going to have 10 cups of coffee or all that sort of stuff, because invariably what happens is you just end up going to the toilet, so there's loads of things. Jerry, don't use it, you lose it. Well, that's you got to keep practicing. You got to keep practicing. You got to keep yourself in tune. And as I say, if you haven't ridden for a long time, you're out of the habit. You know, you're not doing it on a regular basis. Mark, in spring, hello. In spring, ride on only the roads you have driven already by car. So you know the shape they're in? Yeah, good. Hitting an unexpected pothole can kill you right quick. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, it's very, very good advice. If you've been driving on roads recently that you know of, well, hey, make your first few bike rides on those roads that you're familiar with, right? Kind of makes reason. It stands to reason. You know, try and pick a day that is dry. Go out in the daylight. You know, do shorter rides first of all, just to get you back in. You know, get used to the hand controls or foot controls. All the things that you think, oh, do I really need to do this? Well, I tell you what, you'd be surprised the amount of people that come unstuck for this very reason. They're just not used to it, and they start fumbling and make bad decisions, and or they react too slowly. And yeah, on the face of it, you think people would never do this. They would never make these kinds of mistakes. They do, unfortunately, they do. Mark, wait until the news reports of a motorcycle accident, and every old person reading the paper will begin to watch out for you. People need reminded. Listen, and this is the thing, it does take a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, a month or so. You get that sudden spike of motorcycle accidents, incidents, crashes, whatever you want to call it, and then it drops off a little bit, but then it kind of plateaus again over the spring, summer months into autumn. It kind of goes up and down a little bit in terms of accident rates, but it kind of goes, like that. And then you get sometimes you get a little spike towards the end of the summer, and then it drops off for winter. And the reason why you get a little spike at the end of the summer, there's a little bit of pearl of wisdom here that you're not all familiar with. You get this spike at the start, a big spike, as I've just said. Then it kind of plateaus, and it's a higher plateau than the winter plateau, much higher plateau, because of the numbers of bikes on the road, right? Okay, it's a numbers game then, that's all it is. But then you get this last spike towards the end of the year. Traditionally, it changes from year to year, but you get this one right at the end of the year, this is the last spike, because people are going out for their last ride before they going to put their bike away. So they want to get that extra little bit of enjoyment out before, and they're not really thinking about the ride. They're thinking about the enjoyment and, I must get this ride in before, I'm putting the bike away. And that's why you get these other, and you can always link it back to that mindset. But that's true. That is definitely true. So listen, I mean, there are lots of reasons. There's lots of advice out there. But yeah, get the bike sorted. Make sure that's okay. If you're going to do a service and everything like that, just get it running right. Yeah. If you're going to go out for a ride, just go on routes that you've taken already. Yeah. Take it easy. Go on dry days. Make sure that the weather is suitable for you. Whatever. Make sure that you're match fit as well. Make sure you're ready to ride. All these kinds of things. It's all good stuff. I mean, it's all basic stuff at the end of it, at the end of the day. But when you're talking about a motorcycle itself, getting that ready for riding, most of the time you don't need you don't need to open up or study up on War and Peace here. It is very much the basics. Very much the basics that every motorcycle owner may have or should have access to an owner's manual. Okay, I will kind of hold back on that, because many a time if you buy an older used motorcycle, they don't always come with an owner's manual, I grant it, but they're pretty much the same. There's not a lot of difference between them. When the numbers may be different, whatever, but essentially you're talking, okay, does it have enough? Is there enough tread on the tires? Yeah. Are they inflated? Are there any cracks in the tires? any gouges, that kind of thing. The wheel bearings, is there any play in the wheel bearings or anything like that? Steering head bearings, is there any horrible feeling to that? Suspension, does it work? Front and rear, any leaks, that kind of thing? Is there any abnormal rust on the suspension forks? Any damage to the frame and the engine, that kind of thing? Any leaks, any engine leaks, coolant leaks, whatever? Electrically, does it seem all right? Is there any burning electrical smell? And that's one of the things that you've got to be aware of. And again, here's another thing that a lot of people don't pay attention to, that you can get these animals, let's say, for want of a better word, trying to take up residence in your motorcycle. Now, again, this kind of depends where you are in the world and where you're going to be storing your bike. But let's just say if you're more in the countryside, for example, or you're going to store your motorcycle in a barn, for example, what you want to make sure is that you plug up all the holes on that bike, in other words, from the exhaust. Get plugs in there, like rags or something, just to break, and then make sure you take the rags out when you're going to start it up, right? Because animals can get in there and build nests and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that happens, right? But it's about making sure that your bike is stored properly over winter, if you are going to store it. Make sure that the bike is suitable for riding. Give it a good old check over. But you could do this with some friends, but if you haven't got any other motorcycle friends, but you've got, and let's say you're a driver, right? Then just use your driving knowledge, as it were, to check in over your car. And if you're completely clueless about driving, mechanical maintenance, that kind of thing, then ask a neighbour, or find somebody else, a friend, that that you're bound to find somebody who can steer you in the right direction, just to help you give your bike a once over. Yeah, make sure. And it's usually about check the oil level, check the fluid level, tire pressure, suspension, braking, does that all work? Any leaks anywhere, that kind of thing? Yeah, make sure, give it a little, start it up, warm everything up, maybe just go take it for a ride around the block, or just up your road and then back again, check the brakes work, all that sort of stuff. That's all you're doing, really. There we go. Jerry, also as a biker, you should always look out for other bikers. Yeah. Other bikes, yeah. One of those things that I've always noticed that is that, bikers got to stick together. Which I believe you should. I think road users should see. People should just look out for each other in general. I don't really necessarily buy into the fact that just because you're a biker, you should ignore somebody who's in need of help if they're driving a car. I've regularly stopped for people. I know it's not a thing anymore. I know I'm showing my age. It's a bit old-fashioned. But, if people need my help or in need of help, or I think they may need a help, I can see the car has pulled over to the side of the road. It's got hazards lights on. Or a bike. I see a bike parked up on the side of the road. Or certainly if a bike is on its side, I'll always try and pull over. I've doubled back lots of times just to go check people out. Yeah, but the flip side of this, of looking out for other bikes, is also looking out for other bikes that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And you don't want to be associated with, or you don't want to be caught up in that as well. So you got to make sure that just like you're looking out for any other road user, you got to be looking out for any other biker on a motorcycle, person on a motorcycle, that is just going gung-ho as soon as they get on their bike. Going to make sure that that you're aware of those as well. So I'm missing a few comments here as well. A wee moose can be fun having one in your pride and joy. Yeah, a wee moose, a wee mouse. Yeah, absolutely. But look, it's not just mice or hamsters or whatever things. I don't know, whatever other little animals want to crawl up your exhaust. I mean, one of the things you want to be careful of, and again, take this for what it is. it just depends where you are and where you've got your bike stored, right? But let's just say one of the problems that you could have if you've got you've got problems with rodents, mice, rats, whatever, they can get into your electrical system and start chewing your wires. So you could have a problem there when you try and start your bike. You could have shorts, whatever. They might have gone into fuel lines as well, try to eat the rubber, because that's sometimes you might have a weeping fuel, that kind of thing. So that could be, broken wires, sparking wires, and they're all short wires, and then you got dripping fuel as well. Yeah, look, there's lots of problems there. So I know it's not always easy to check over your bike in terms of checking all wiring and everything like that, but just be aware. Again, it depends where you store your bike and if there could be a problem like that. So and they're always going to be, there could be telltale signs that some kind of rodent has been chewing away electrical wires. Maybe there might be sort of plastic sheathing, on the engine casing and stuff like that. Look out for rat droppings, mouse droppings around that. Anything like that, that kind of thing. Let's have a look. Any other comments? I'm kind of missing a few here by accident. Waiting news accident. Okay, yeah, I talked about that. Yeah. So there we go. I mean, it's always interesting. I find this time of year, you especially on things like YouTube, platforms like YouTube, that it always goes in cycles. So in sort of October, November time, you always get the videos coming out. Hey, winterize your motorcycle, winterize your bike. It's the same thing over and over again. The very first person who made a video about winterizing your bike, that's pretty much the only one you need to look at, right? But people want to start their YouTube channel and they want to do the same thing. Okay, fine, there's no problem with that. And sometimes you bring something new to it, and sometimes but the thing is, you bring your own personality, you bring your own viewpoint, and everything like that. But most of the time, it's the same old stuff over and over again. Or you've got your own audience, which you don't normally talk about this stuff, so you're going to talk about it in that sense. And I get it, but essentially, it's the same stuff. Now, you could say, okay, how would I store this particular bike over winter? There's some merit in that, because there might be something that is particular to that bike. So the people who own that bike, or many of the bikes that are very similar to it, might think, okay, there might be something particular here I might want to pay attention to, that kind of thing. Come winter, there's lots of, dreaming of spring type videos. Then spring comes along and says, hey, it's time to brush off the cobwebs. Time to, hey, get ready for the riding season. And then it's all about riding your bike and how many places can I go to, and how many motorcycle rallies can I go to, and how many this and how many that. And it's, look, what I'm saying is that it's a recurring theme, and there's lots of YouTubers or Instagrammers, TikTokers, whatever. They'll come up with this time and time again. So there's lots of information out there. You just have to go onto YouTube, about getting ready for the riding season, or how to get my bike ready for the road, or how to winterize my bike, all this sort of stuff. There's hundreds. I'm sure, and every year there'll be another load added to that list as well. So it really depends what time of year it is, what you're looking for. But guarantee somebody's made an opinion piece about it, or made a video about it as well. But I think sometimes all I would say is don't ever just look at one. If you're not sure yourself, if you're not sure about what you should do or how you should prepare yourself or your bike or whatever, to store it, to ride it, whatever it is, or wherever you're going to go, you've never been somewhere, or how do I plan a trip? How do I plan a motorcycle tour to so-and-so? Guaranteed there's somebody out there that's going to give you advice. But what I'm saying is, don't just look at one. one video or source of information. It's just like being a journalist, right? You need to do research multiple sources, and get the broad opinion, the consensus opinion out there. And you will find there's a consensus opinion, but every now and again there's a little pearl of wisdom that nobody else has come up with, but sometimes they have, so, but as I say, always just be mindful of the fact that you may be the unlucky one who stumbles across a video or a blog or whatever where somebody's talking absolute, as we would like to say in the UK, absolute bollocks, right? When they're talking nonsense, and they're telling you stuff that just isn't true. Now, bear this in mind, just because somebody else says that video there is absolute rubbish doesn't mean it's so. It just means that that person watching it doesn't know this extra knowledge, and they think, oh, this is rubbish, but it actually could be true. But so it's, all I'm saying is, just be safe, go with a consensus opinion. But sometimes there might be individual videos out there or individual blog posts that bring you brand new information, and it may be true or it may be false, as it were. But there we go. Liz Williams, thank you very much. I hope you're well, and thank you for joining. Remember, just ride soon. Yes, time. Jerry, surround your bike with traps. Yes, mouse traps, bear traps, mouse traps, ghost traps. I'm sure any kind of a poltergeist trap. Be like Ghostbusters. Yeah, any kind of trap. Look, there's lots of information out there. There's lots of information out there for the new riding season and whatever you want to do. I always thought that, for me, it was never really about checking over the bike, because I ride all the time, right? But checking over your bike, it's not such a big process, a long process. It's just, sometimes it's just a visual check. It's just checking, seeing everything's still okay, right? And you start it up, and and away you go. It's not too bad. So when I say check over your bike, it doesn't have to be this big mechanical, electrical adventure that you're never really sure if you're going to come back from. It's just checking over your bike. Everything still works. But what I would say is those first few rides, that and I use this same principle every single time that I go out, especially if I haven't ridden for a while, for whatever reason. I might even go on holiday, right, and I don't ride a bike for 2 weeks. I've been ill for a few days or for a week or so, and I haven't ridden. I bust my toe or broke my leg, whatever it is. I can't ride for a while. The first time I get on a bike again, whatever that reason, I take it easy. And make sure that I'm happy, make sure I'm riding, my balance is everything's okay, and I'm all good to go. And I'm checking out all the little pinch points, all the little hazard points, all the things that could get me, right? All the things that could get me, and also being extra mindful of all the trouble that I could get myself into. Okay, it's very easy for us as bikers to project blame onto everybody else. But actually, the number one person that you should be looking at is yourself. Look at yourself first, of how you're riding, what the conditions are, how your bike is performing, all that sort of stuff, and how much you're using the controls, as it were. And work on that principle first of all. Anyway, listen, it's an hour and 20 into the show. I think it's time we sort of went and did other stuff, don't you? But listen, it's been emotional. Thanks for watching. The Indian Elite range, the Challenger, the Pursuit, and the Chieftain. Yes, all good stuff there. BMW with their face recognition software coming to a motorcycle near you soon. Not sure when. Yamaha motorcycles using recycled stuff on their bikes. All good stuff. But listen, the riding season is here. There's lots of advice out there. Some of it is going to be bogus. Some of it is going to be not relevant to you. But some of it will be. So, hey, just go and do what you do. Go and enjoy the road. And I'll catch you on another video coming very soon. Ta-da now. Cheers.